Every Sunday, Joel Osteen stands before thousands inside the former Compaq Center in Houston, Texas, preaching hope, joy, and prosperity. Once, the church overflowed with more than 45,000 people, drawn to a message of faith that promised blessings without burden. Joel inherited Lakewood Church from his father, John Osteen, in 1999 when it had roughly 6,000 members. Within 5 years, he grew the congregation to over 30,000. By 2005, the church moved into the massive Compaq Center, investing $15 million in renovations, creating a sanctuary capable of holding 16,800 people, with overflow rooms pushing capacity beyond 45,000. The promise of prosperity. Joel Osteen's sermons were simple yet compelling. God loves you and wants to bless your life abundantly. The church offered prosperity without guilt, encouragement without obligation. Books, television broadcasts, and speaking engagements amplified the message globally, reaching millions. Forbes estimated Osteen's net worth between $50 million and $100 million, though the true figure may be higher. People were drawn to Christianity framed as a pathway to personal success. The combination of optimism, polished production, and emotional uplift created a congregation eager to believe that faithful giving and positive declarations would lead to tangible rewards. Hurricane Harvey, a moment of doubt. In 2017, Hurricane Harvey devastated Houston, displacing tens of thousands. Lakewood Church, situated on high ground, initially kept its doors closed despite its capacity to shelter hundreds. Photos circulated online showing minimal damage around the church, contradicting official statements. Eventually, the church opened as a shelter, but the delay planted doubt among members. A pastor who preached abundance seemed hesitant when it came time to extend it. While this event alone did not trigger an exodus, it became the first crack in a foundation of unquestioning trust, forcing congregants to question the alignment between preaching and practice. The hidden cash discovery. 4 years later, in 2021, a plumber discovered envelopes hidden in a wall containing $600,000 in cash and checks. The funds traced back to a 2014 theft from the collection plate, a case that had gone cold. Joel Osteen was never implicated, but the discovery raised questions. Why was the money hidden in a wall? Why did the church receive an insurance payout years earlier? Silence from church leadership created unease. Members began wondering whether transparency was lacking. The hidden money symbolized a disconnect between the church's polished public image and the reality behind the scenes, undermining faith in the institution. Victoria Osteen's controversial statement. In September 2023, Victoria Osteen, Joel's wife and co-pastor, made a statement on stage that went viral. Worship is ultimately for oneself because that pleases God. Critics argued that this contradicted traditional Christian teachings, which emphasize glorifying God over self-interest. Joel defended her, claiming context was missing, but the message was clear. For members already questioning Lakewood's teachings, it felt like confirmation. The prosperity gospel was not about God's glory, but personal gain. The comment exposed an uncomfortable truth about the underlying logic of the church, alienating those seeking spiritual depth rather than transactional faith. Faith versus reality. Despite scandals fading over time, the core problem at Lakewood is more fundamental. The prosperity gospel only works if members feel it works. Many congregants faithfully tithed, attended services, and bought books, yet material and spiritual breakthroughs failed to appear. Meanwhile, Joel Osteen lives in a $10.5 million River Oaks mansion with multiple elevators, a guest house, and a lifestyle funded by book sales and speaking engagements. For members struggling financially, this discrepancy between promise and reality felt stark. The abundant life preached by Osteen seemed reserved for him, creating cognitive dissonance that, over time, pushed members away. The numbers don't add up. Lakewood Church reportedly brings in $90 million annually. Sermons emphasize faithful giving as the path to blessings, yet the benefits appear one-sided. Congregants witness wealth accumulation for the pastor, while their own lives remain unchanged. This perceived inequity eroded trust. Members started questioning whether their sacrifices truly mattered. For decades, Osteen's message encouraged hope and positive thinking. But over time, repetitive themes and polished performances without substance caused fatigue. Faith that promised abundance became a source of frustration, leaving members to wrestle with a spiritual contract that seemed to favor the few while asking much of the many. Seeking depth and authenticity, former members describe a sense of stagnation at Lakewood. Sermons recycled the same themes week after week. Declare victory, stay positive, expect blessings. While production quality is flawless, authenticity feels lacking. Real spiritual growth involves struggle, questioning, and transformation, yet Lakewood appears resistant to disruption. For younger Christians, especially those with access to diverse theological perspectives online, this lack of depth feels irrelevant. The polished image of effortless blessing is increasingly unrelatable, creating a generational divide. People want more than optimism. They want substance, accountability, and a faith that grapples with real-world challenges. A shift in church culture. Lakewood's culture prioritizes image over authenticity. Every detail is meticulously produced. Worship teams flawless, sermons tightly scripted, leadership polished. While appealing initially, this perfection began to feel artificial. Congregants who expected engagement and transformation felt disconnected. The contrast between the church's flawless appearance and the imperfect realities of life led to disillusionment. People began asking why their faith wasn't producing results. Why did blessings flow to leadership while many faithful members continued to struggle? The perception of inequality, combined with a sanitized, repetitive message, created an environment where congregants felt spiritually unfulfilled. Generational discontent. Younger Christians increasingly question institutional religion and the megachurch model. They have grown up witnessing parents give faithfully yet see limited results. Luxury lifestyles of pastors, contrasted with congregational struggles, create skepticism. The prosperity gospel's promise of predictable material blessing fails under scrutiny. Online resources provide access to broader theological discussions, challenging traditional teachings and encouraging critical thinking. As a result, many younger members leave not just Lakewood but organized religion entirely. The disconnect between preached promise and personal experience fuels spiritual dissatisfaction, leaving a generation seeking meaningful, authentic faith rather than performative prosperity. The Exodus. The loss of 20,000 members is not tied to a single scandal or controversy. It's a slow realization that the product, faith framed as abundance, does not match the promise. People feel disillusioned, disconnected, and spiritually homeless. Some join smaller congregations where personal connection matters. Others abandon organized religion altogether. For many, the gap between the idealized abundance preached from the stage and their lived reality becomes unbearable. Lakewood's continued public success masks the internal erosion of trust and engagement. The Exodus represents a broader crisis in faith satisfaction, particularly within the prosperity gospel framework, where expectation and reality increasingly diverge. Conclusion: a church at a crossroads. Joel Osteen still fills arenas, sells books, and commands attention. From the outside, Lakewood Church looks as vibrant as ever. But for thousands of former members, faith has become transactional and unfulfilling. The combination of unmet promises, perceived inequity, generational skepticism, and lack of spiritual depth has created a quiet exodus. The prosperity gospel, once a beacon of hope, now feels hollow for many. While Osteen continues to preach optimism, the broader story is one of disillusionment. The empty parking lots and vanished congregants reflect a deeper question. When faith becomes a product, what happens to those who stop seeing results?